Welcome back! Today I'm going to do a review of A Little Taste of Poison by R.J. Anderson, because I have opinions. I'm going to start with the fact that this book is a sequel to a book I have not read. I got this one because my sister Emily sent it to me, and I'm guessing she got it from a library cast-off sale, but that's just guessing from the fact that it says Harris County Public Library on it. And I started reading it before I noticed it was a sequel. And once I started it, I didn't want to put it down. Both because, like, objectively, once I put a book down, I don't tend to pick it back up. But also because I was enjoying it. But that meant that there are some things I'm just guessing about here. I originally intended going back and buying the first one once I was done with this one, but I'm not sure I will because it sort of ruined for me. Because objectively, this is a mystery. Now, it's a bit of an odd mystery. First of all, its primary category is definitely fantasy, and it is for kids, I'm guessing middle grade reader. But stylistically, it is set up as a mystery. And like one of the things I found interesting about it is it's a mystery that doesn't really have the constant clue dropping, like leading you to a conclusion kind of thing that most mystery novels do. Like, I don't think the author intended us to figure it out before the ending, but there are clues. It's just, it's almost like the set dressing is mystery more than the actual structure is mystery. And also the conclusion is super mystery. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This book is the story of a girl named Isabeth, a 12-year-old girl in a world where magic is divided into two different systems. Highly class-structured systems. Common magic is baked with common ingredients, and it's done by commoners. And when I say baked, I do mean baked. They bake magic in oven, in tablets, that you then use to do different things. Then there's sagery, which is tied to the religion and is traditionally only taught to the noble classes. And partly that makes sense because this magic involves manipulating a lot of expensive ingredients like gems and silver and stuff like that to make charms, which once again can be used later to do magic stuff. Isabeth is a commoner, but even more difficult than that, she's a Moshite, which is an offshoot of the dominant religion in this society. Moshites, it seems pretty clear to me they are meant to be analogous to how Jewish people were treated in Christian Europe throughout the middle through like 19th centuries. Because, yeah, I'd say if this fantasy is aiming at being a specific time period-ish, it's sort of Edwardian-ish, but not quite Gaslamp fantasy, but sort of there. The point is, these Moshite people are highly looked down upon and mistrusted. And because of this, Isabeth's family is poor and pretty desperate. Like, they're barely scraping by. Her father has been out of work for quite a while. Our other lead is Esmond, who is on the exact opposite end of the class spectrum. He is noble. He is actually the youngest child of the ruling family in this city. Now, that doesn't make his life easy, because his family sucks, but he's noble. From here, a warning, there will be major spoilers for the first book. From what I can gather, having not read it, in book one, Isabeth and Esmond meet when Isabeth's dad is wrongfully arrested for murder. Esmond is pretending to be a street kid named Quiz. Together they find out the truth and get Isabeth's father freed, but fail to get the real villain caught. This book starts with Isabeth being offered a scholarship to the best school in the city. This is a school where kids are taught to use sagery. She's offered this because she invented a new bit of common magic, which has earned buttloads of money for the Glowmore company, and they are the ones that offer the scholarship. But what at first seems like the best opportunity of her life quickly reveals dangers and difficulties around every corner. So I've been really impressed with a lot of books I've been reading for kids recently. Specifically, I've been really impressed with how bold they've been about tackling some serious themes and topics. I mean, yeah, there have always been topic books, but they were topic books. You knew going into them that this book was going to be about racism, or about abuse, or about terminal illness. Most of them were the equivalent of after-school specials, just in book form. They were very preachy, very simplified. The story revolved around the issue and nothing else. I remember one that I read when I was a kid that was about this group of average, normal girls who make friends with the fat girl in class. And they slowly realize that it's, you know, an emotional thing. And she just needs help to lose weight. Even as like a 10-year-old when I first read this, I was a little bit like, this is a bit preachy. And also, I don't think it always works that way. But the books I'm reading recently, they aren't really preachy. They attack serious themes, but they feature interesting stories that just work the themes in. The characters are not defined by what theme they fit in. Like, there's no flat cast of characters here that's like, I'm the poor one, I'm the rich one, I'm the kind one, I'm the mean one. And they don't oversimplify things. This book is very much about classism and persecution. But unlike most books for kids that tackle, you know, persecution, it doesn't just do the whole like, look kids, just be nice to those who are different. You might find out they're just like you, with the assumption that that will somehow fix everything. This book acknowledges Isabeth's persecution and shows characters who are both kind and cruel to her, shows things that make it worse and things that make it better, and even introduces the reader to the idea of dog whistles and like how political systems interact with people who are being persecuted. And it manages to do this while staying in the language of its age range. Like, this book at no point makes me go, yeah, I don't think 13-year-olds are gonna get this. They will. And it also does not offer easy solutions, which in my opinion is a brilliant thing. Too much media that tackles societal ills, especially that for kids, ends with these super easy solutions. Like, just be kind, just share, just report the bullying to adults. And maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like even kids at a younger age than what this is aimed at find that as cringy as adults do. Like, they know it's not that simple. We all know it's not that simple. So it's really nice to see books for kids that also acknowledge it's not that simple. Isabeth gets a happy ending, but it's not implied that all persecution will just disappear because of her happy ending. In fact, it's heavily implied that she's still gonna have to deal with shit. And the mystery elements of this book I really like. Partially because it's not a really hardcore mystery, because I sort of like mysteries, but I don't like feeling like I'm having to work while reading a book, and sometimes mystery books make me feel that way. Also, it really annoys me when I figure out the mystery too early, and because this was not framed as a can you figure it out kind of mystery, it didn't matter when I figured it out. And like, there weren't enough clues dropped in it for me to be like, oh yeah, I think I know what's going on here. It was just sort of a mystery that they were working on. I really do buy the conclusion, and the reveal is a very classic mystery novel kind of reveal. Like, it feels like you've suddenly stepped into a, like, Poirot movie at the end there. There are real stakes. There's real emotional character growth. There's a good bit of adventure with intrigue and drama. There's a really cute, just growing old enough for romance kind of romance. But in my mind, where this book is strongest was in its complex world and interesting political intrigue. My only serious qualms with this one are that Isabeth was the primary protagonist, but Esmond got to be the real hero. Which is one of those things that in a vacuum is not a problem. But in a world where the majority of books going back centuries feature male protagonists rescuing female protagonists, and even worse yet, where there are centuries worth of books of the wealthy nobleman helping the poor, persecuted young girl. I just wish the author had found a way to give Isabeth a little bit more agency in the climax of the book. Also, this is a book that leans heavily on the failure of communication kind of conflicts, which I hate. I just don't like them. I don't find them interesting. I don't find them fun to read. I hate watching them on TV, and I don't really like reading them in books. But at least it buys them. Like, I get the reason they exist in this book. A lot of them exist not just because, oh, I can't say it to him. A lot of the failures of communication in this book come from, like, a class divide, or, like, am I allowed to talk about that with him because he's not the person I thought he was a year ago? Stuff like that, that made a bit more sense. And also, lack of communication is sort of necessary for a mystery novel to make sense, so it only really annoyed me a couple times. Also, the constant referencing of a radio play that the kids are obsessed with. I mean, that is realistic. 13-year-olds tend to be a bit obsessive, but it annoys me in real 13-year-olds too. Overall, I really liked this book, and probably will read the first one, or at very least read something else by this author. Yeah, I thought it was a really good book for, like, 12 to 13-year-olds. And me. Because I read books for 12 to 13-year-olds.